So overall, the focus of my research is really how nutrition, exercise, and other lifestyle factors influence human health and disease prevention. Specifically, I'm interested in a variety of nutrients, including vitamin D and iodine, and also was interested in energy metabolism and skeletal muscle metabolism. So the majority of my research has always been human research, mainly human clinical trials. Generally, what that involves is bringing subjects into the lab, and we study a variety of different factors in them. We take measurements related to their anthropometrics, their dietary intake, blood values, sometimes even urine values, and then we connect that with some of the physiological and metabolic parameters that are going on. Even though we have an indication that iodine status of the general population is probably okay, we feel that it may be changing and that certain subpopulations might be at risk for low iodine. We did a preliminary study in individuals in Laramie, and we measured their iodine status, and we also collected information on the frequency of their consumption of iodine-containing foods, including table salt. The American Heart Association came out with more strict guidelines related to sodium intake. So that is, I think, increased the awareness of people maybe wanting to avoid table salt, which is our significant source of iodine. We know that iodine is found in small concentrations in other foods, but the content in foods is highly dependable on the iodine concentration of the soil. So what we know so far is that half of our participants were either mild, moderately, or severely depleted in iodine. Of that, about 16 to 17% had more moderate to severe deficiency. So there is some indication that even within Laramie that maybe people are not consuming adequate iodine. It's always exciting to work with humans. I mean, there's always a question to ask. When I do get excited about something, I will just read the literature and tell everyone that I see, oh, look what I just found out. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, we still need to study this. And I think that is probably what keeps me interested in coming back and figuring out new questions. I also really feel that the results of my research really have a chance to have an impact on human health. Another thing that my lab has been interested in is looking at vitamin D status. Our first study, we looked at the vitamin D status of our UW athletes and found, quite interestingly, that our athletes overall had a fairly good status compared to what was reported across the country. We also found really interesting correlations that a low vitamin D status increased the risk for developing upper respiratory tract infections in the athletes and also increased an inflammatory marker, TNF-alpha. So it was really indicative to us the importance of vitamin D status, or at least studying it further to look at inflammation and immune functions in athletic populations, as well as just general healthy, active populations. Another angle of our vitamin D research was whether animals that were exposed also to outdoor light would synthesize vitamin D just like humans would, and whether we could get an increase in amount of vitamin D in their meat product. So we did an experiment where we took pigs and exposed them to sunlight for 1 hour at close to solar noon for 2 weeks. We were able to look at what happened to that exposure in the vitamin D content of their loin tissue, as well as their fat. The vitamin D content of the loin and also the fat was higher in the sun-exposed pigs. In fact, when you look at it compared to the value that's presented by the USDA, compared to our control pigs, you can see that there was a very large increase in vitamin D. But it really illustrates that a simple change in agriculture practice, which is exposing pigs to sunlight, could really impact the vitamin D content of their meat. The focus of my research has always really been on evaluating things to help people maybe remain healthy or prevent disease, or once they maybe have a disease state, change their lifestyle or change what they eat. I would really love to see a day and time where maybe you went to someone to talk more about prevention, or you really thought overall about your overall wellness. And I think that's what the research of my lab is really helping to provide data and really evidence to support in the future.